Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on World Awakening tonight. Now, this has never happened before. Usually, you know me well, you know I bring in a very nice, eclectic mix of people to share different ideas with and, to tap into the whole notion of we are a world awakening to our potential. We are a world awakening to our old reality seen with fresh new eyes, etc. Last week, I had a guest on. Well, it's interesting because the last hour I've been on doing Soul School, and the theme of the class tonight was having patience and just, waiting out the universe to see what it holds in store for us. And how sometimes being patient can be perceived as being perhaps a little intellectually lazy, or just waiting around for life to happen to you, and that's not the case at all. uh, you can pursue your dreams and your aspirations, but you don't have to be frantic about it. It doesn't have to be a situation where you're anxiety ridden about it all the time. You can just let it unfold. And the metaphor that I used to talk about that was, a beautiful piece of origami is a single piece of paper that is folded and folded and folded and folded, and it's created, um, each uniquely into a piece of art. And I think that we are each born into this world as our own unique piece of art. And as we grow and age and learn and acquire wisdom and knowledge, it's almost like we're unfolding that piece of origami one little sliver at a time and opening it, much like the tight blossom in spring is in full bloom by the end of summer. Um, and so that's what I was referring to during the last show. And I think that a case in point is my guest tonight. I went to Kansas City a few weeks ago, and there was a knock at the door. We were all the speakers, the guest speakers, and everyone were gathered in a single suite, and we were having dinner together. And there was this, quiet, rather demure, genteel knock at the door, and uh, the promoter opened it, and there stood this man. And I don't remember if I said it to John Zaffis or I said it to Greta, but I turned to one of them and I said, "He's the reason I'm here. He is the reason I am in Kansas City." I had never seen him before. I knew nothing about him at all. Um, and yet there was an instant gravitational, magnetic pull, and I didn't even give the man a chance to sit down and settle before I blasted him with everything that I wanted him to know about what I was doing. And, I had no idea what his background was or why he was at this event or what he brought on a conscious level, but on an intuitive level, I absolutely did. And since then, I have introduced him to a number of other people, including a special guest that we're going to have hop in a little bit later tonight, Deb DeRoos. And I'll explain that to you later. But in the interest of saving time, Bill, if you would be so kind to bring there he is, this lovely, lovely man that I've had the privilege and the pleasure to meet and to get to know over these last few weeks, and who will be joining us at UFO Contact in Houghton Lake a little bit later in the month of September. Um, Rupert, it is wonderful to have you back. I never have the same guest back to back, but the outpouring, and I mean outpouring, Jonathan is a case in point, um, of affection and curiosity and just I think that so many of the people that are latched in I know, Shelley. I know. You should see
Thank
him
you.
up close, honey. Trust me. Um, it's amazing to me. I We normally we have very active chat rooms and that are all associated with the show. You can't see them and I can't see them. Bill will put up occasional comments and well wishes, but Candace, there's my sweet. Yes, all in one show, Candace. Yes. Uh, to bring you back on immediately. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
To bring you back on immediately is a
Laura, it's Joe.
testament to who you are and what you represent and how you have unlocked the hearts and the minds and the souls of the people that you encounter. So, welcome back to A World Awakening, one whole week after you made the debut.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be back. And actually, I've been receiving messages since your show last week. A lot of people telling me how when they look at me, they feel like they know me,
Yeah,
and this is not a new thing. And I think what's going on is because this happened with you and
it
I
did.
think people who have the same sort of who are maybe on the same, we could say the same frequency, have the same sort of mission, the same sort of level of ascension or wisdom, or
Mhm.
something about our spirituality. It when you meet somebody and that matches,
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
feel that psychically, you feel it spiritually, and you're familiar with it, and it's that familiarity that I think many people on your show who are just wonderful, wonderful. Sorry, many of your followers who are just wonderful, wonderful people. They're feeling that because they're the same. They're the
Yeah.
same as you and I in so many
Yes.
ways.
Yeah. It is. It is a remarkable thing when it happens. And I remember when I was, younger in life, and I would very occasionally click with
Yeah.
somebody, like right away, and you just knew you were going to be friends, and it felt so comfortable, like putting on a pair of your warmest fuzzy slippers that are well broken in, and but it had only happened to me a few times in my life until about the last 15 years when I started coming out, as it were, in terms of my books and then the film and all of these other things that transpired from that. And I began to be go to conferences and be invited to things all over the country, and started traveling in a way that I never had before, and meeting extraordinary people who were very much like minded. Yes, same frequency. We resonate with each other. All of our vernacular, our paranormal language. But it's true and it's real and it's pure. And when you encounter someone who shares those qualities, and is pure of heart and only has good intentions for the world, and practices the fine art of love as our superpower. you
Mhm.
know you've encountered somebody who gets it. You don't have to edit what you say. You don't have to hold anything. You withhold nothing. You can just blah, put it all out there. And that's how it was, between the two of us immediately. Um, and so now I have already snared you. Started to drag you in, and
Thank you.
here
Thank
we
you. I'm happy to have been snared.
let me introduce you to this one and this one and this one, and yeah. So um I'm so thrilled that you're going to be coming to UFO Contact in Houghton Lake, Michigan.
Yeah.
um it is a gathering of uh a lot of very intellectual people, a lot of people that are well grounded in science. When I go to these events like the Star Work Symposium, I feel like the dumb kid on the block. A lot of these people have more degrees than a thermometer, and I walk in there with my degree in philosophy and English and go, well, okay, I'm here, but you are a physicist, you know? And so just because I study it and that I'm fascinated by it doesn't mean that I'm an expert in it. So if you would, um, for anybody that missed last week's show, you know, give us a synopsis, give us your background educationally, what drew you into this field,
Yeah.
you know, why you feel so compelled to do what you do, all of that, and just reintroduce yourself for anybody that's new tonight.
Yeah. Well, I have a first class honors degree in physics with space science and technology from the University of Leicester in England.
Yes.
Following on from that, I worked for a bit in Leicester Space Centre. I did about a year of research into extragalactic X-ray phenomena. So I was using telescopes, ROSAT and Ginga, that were in orbit around the Earth to study space. So I've been very well grounded in I would say the skill of determining what is true using logic, and I have applied that same process of making deductions to the realm of the paranormal, uh, to the reality that science has not yet been able to explain. And so my whole life, I've researched everything from dowsing to crop circles, to aliens, to the Loch Ness Monster, healing, reincarnation. I looked at religions. I've looked at everything else that people claim is out there, but I've done that in a way, in a logical way, which has enabled me to really solidly work out, yes, that's true. Yes, when you die, your consciousness continues because it's just your biological body that's dying, and your spiritual brain has the same complexity as your biological brain, and therefore can house your consciousness into extra dimensional space after your biological body fails you. I've used that same logical process to work out a lot about the extra normal or the paranormal. But like you, and this is an area where I don't think you can go to university and get qualified in this, you are a you have a beautiful heart, a beautiful soul. You're a loving being. You're so generous. It touches me. It makes me want to tear up how generous and kind and compassionate you are. How we affect others in our lives is so important. It's almost more important than understanding reality. None of us, when we finally, pass away, none of us are going to know all the facts, but all of us have the ability to have loved well, loved others. That's where you are highly qualified, and that's an aspect of our existence that I instill into everything I do. That's one of the reasons why I've been successful, and I think that's probably the reason why you have been successful in contacting these beings, forming relationships
Ships,
with
yes.
these beings.
Yes, absolutely true. Because we're vibrating on their frequency.
Yeah.
Because we, and I'll say it. When I met you, I don't remember who I said it to,
I
but
think
I
it was
remembered
Greta. I
Greta.
think you
I
told me
Yeah,
it was Greta.
yes, and I said to her, "He's not from here. He's not from here." And she just looked at me with those, big, beautiful green eyes of her, and she just kind of winked and she said, "I know, I know." Um, and I don't say that, to be hyperbolic. I don't say that to be provocative in any way. I've never, other than one man who you will meet, John Tenney, I've never said that about anybody else that I've ever met, ever. John first, and now you. And so I can't wait to put the two of you together and then just eavesdrop on the conversation. That's all that I want to do is just listen in. And he's brilliant and beautiful, and he has uh, just an extraordinary gift, not just intellectually, but in his ability to communicate. So I'm really thrilled to be able to introduce you um, at Houghton Lake. And I think that great things are going to come of this. And then, of course, I was with you, just texting, and we've already got our thread going, um, and had an offer today uh, that just seemingly fell from the universe into my lap, of me doing my own show and bringing the people that I most want to share with the world, and highlight their work, and bringing them in. And you and John were the first two people off my lips when I was talking to my producer out in LA today, who called me seemingly out of the blue and said, "Okay, this is happening, and this is in the pipeline, and here comes this, and here comes this. And oh, by the way, would you like to do a series with me? You can name it what you want, you can do whatever you want. I'll just shut up and film it." And, in the age of SAG AFTRA, um, and the big strike in Hollywood, and all that we can do is be our authentic selves. There's no scripts involved with what
Yeah.
I do. There never has been. It just comes organically from me. And I noticed the exact same thing with you. And we do the same thing, we just approach it slightly differently, but it really is the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm most interested in seeing, because when we are up in Houghton Lake, you will find that you spend very little time in 3D. You will definitely feel like you're having some kind of an out of body experience. And I don't know. I mean, I want to bring Deb in, and to join us for a little bit, because I think there are ley lines involved with where we're going
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
Houghton Lake is the largest inland lake in Michigan, in a state that is completely surrounded by the Great Lakes, of course. So it looks like a little dot on the map, but it's actually a pretty substantial lake. And um, want me to bring her in? Yes, actually, Bill. Why don't you do that? We'll bring Deb in, which I got to
Hello.
Hi, Deb.
introduce.
Hi, Rupert. It's so nice to be here with the two of you and listening to you two. I'll tell you what, it warms my heart. It's beautiful when you see the frequencies and vibrations and energies match. And that's what you guys were talking about earlier. It's absolutely beautiful. It truly is.
Deb, let me ask you now. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but last week, when I had Rupert on, I said, when I first looked at him, I didn't see his aura. I saw a corona. And I want to know if you see the same thing, because so many people wrote to me about this week. So many were like, "Oh, yes, that's it. You're right. He's really not from here. He might not even know it yet."
I think he knows it. Do you know it, Rupert?
I know that that I'm not going to be from here, and that might sound like a very strange answer,
No, not
but
at all.
my future is not from here. I'm being altered. I'm being transformed, and I'm in contact with beings in the future already, where I am, helping to guide us in that direction. Yes, so I'm not going to be from here.
So, Andrea, you were right on.
Yes, I
Right
know.
on.
I know. Well,
Yes.
I've had uh, an experience myself, of course, with Brian Danhausen, who is a good friend, to both of us.
Hmm.
And I hope he'll be at Contact, so I can introduce. He's an energy painter. And I'll just keep this brief, but I had I've over the last 6 to 8 years, I've been approached about a half a dozen times from people all over the world who have reached out to me to tell me um, that, and none of these people know each other. They know me, but they don't know each other. But have reached out to me, including one of my great nephew when he was 11 years old, came to me and told me about this experience that he had and described this being that came to visit him, and the same exact story that I got from everybody else. And she was very tall and slender, unlike myself. I've got a little meat on the bones, but she was very tall and slender and wild hair, just wild, wild hair, and big, olive shaped eyes, almond shaped eyes. And she spoke to each one of them and said, tell Andrea that I'm proud of her, that she's doing a good job, that yes, yes, this is the agreement, this is the arrangement, this is how it's supposed to be, and tell her that I love her, but that I cannot visit her because I am her in an alternate dimension. And the first time I heard that from someone, it was a man in Rhode Island who called me out of the blue and said this being came to him while he was in bed and leaned over and told him all of this, and then just melted down into the floor. And he was totally freaked out. And I just dropped the phone because he said the name Hoodell. And I had never consciously heard that name um, verbalized before, but I knew that name in my soul, in the to the very core of my being. I knew that name, and I had never heard it spoken aloud before. And I dropped the phone. And then over the few years that followed, she made a number of different visits. One in Scotland, one in Germany. A few in the United States. She just went to people and said, tell Andrea I can't visit her because I am her and I'm functioning in another realm. And
Wow.
so I think that in a way, and then Brian draws her. She went and visited Brian, and he got up out of bed, which I'm sure his wife really appreciated at 2 o'clock in the morning, and drew her after she visited him, and then went and stood downstairs in front of the elevators at the event where we were, knowing that I was at some point in the middle of the night going to come down and have a cigarette. And he just stood there with a wet painting drying in his hands, waiting for the doors to open for me to walk out. And there I did. And there was Brian holding this magnificent painting that is now framed in my room. But she's me. It's like a self portrait. It's an amazing thing. So when Rupert talks about having this connection with someone or others from the future having an impact on what's happening in your life now, I totally get it, because I think that what happened is happening to me is maybe in a slightly different way happening to you. Now, let me ask you this, Rupert, and Deb. Feel free to hop in and ask anything, um, because he will answer it. Uh, excuse me. Um, when did you start to realize that you were being fundamentally altered? When did you start to feel um, that you were making contact in a conscious way? And do you feel like one person individual, one being individually? I see you as a light worker. I see you as of the Pleiadians. But do you feel like you have a contact, as it were, with the being who is helping to guide you?
Yeah, things really accelerated in my experiences, my connections with beings. About 3 years ago, I was hosting an online alien contact event, and we had seen in various documentaries that maybe there are healing aliens out there.
Mhm.
And so we astrally projected to try to locate a healing being. And in that session, several people all saw the same being, all saw the same unusual characteristics of the same being, like it was holding babies or children. They all, when I asked, what is your name? They all heard the name, or it's not it's not English, so it was hard for people to hear, but it sounded the same to people, and they almost pronounced this name the same way. The being is called Tuk Tuk, and I have built up a relationship with this being, and we have visited her many times, and we've since learned so much about her. She is healed, either fully or partially, many hundreds of people in my sessions, and we've got verified proof of that. So that was when it really started. But as you know, I love everybody. I extend my love to everybody. And I've reached out to many different species. And there was one time in Las Vegas when I visited Las Vegas, I hosted an event called Reptilians Invited, because people were telling me reptilians are not so good. I'd not had any experiences with them, but I know some friends in Vegas who have had good experiences with reptilians. So I went to Vegas knowing that they were there and invited them to come to a meeting where we would not reveal their identity, not expose them in any way, just wanted to get to know them. And at that meeting, we actually didn't connect with any in a knowing way. But the next CE5 event that I hosted, I suddenly felt, as I was calling in beings, I suddenly felt somebody touching my forehead. And my eyebrow started to twitch. The muscles in my eyebrow started to twitch, and I knew somebody was there. And I turned to the people around me and I said, does anybody see anything? And one person immediately said, yes, there's a being standing right next to you. It's touching your forehead. And they said, no, we think it's reptilian. And I said, that's interesting, because we reached out to reptilians in friendship just about a week or two ago. And they could hear what the reptilian was saying. And they said, the reptilians said, yes, we know. That's why we're here. We're here to protect you, to support what you're doing, because we like what you're doing. And since then, I've made personal connections with many beings. We know Arcturians by name, the same Arcturians that we know the names of. I've got people in Australia contacting me saying, hey, this Arcturian called Sashki said I should contact you. And I was like, oh, really? I know
Don't
Sashki.
you love when that happens? I do.
It's fantastic. This is happening all the time. We now have beings coming to us. They're new species. We don't know who they are. They're coming to us and asking for our help. So it's quite a journey I'm on, and we have so much work to do. They're connecting with me and my groups and people like you, because they know that we are extending love to them. We're not coming to them saying, hey, we want to be your friends because we want your technology, or we want you to save us. We just want to be your friends.
Wow.
Well, one of the things that I've worked in, Deb knows this well, I've worked in this field for a very long time, and I've come to understand some things. And one of the things that I have been messaged about repeatedly is that they can't save us from ourselves. We have to do that. We have to.
Yeah.
They can be a little passive aggressive. They can heal. They can help. They can intervene here and there, and sometimes in big ways, like interfering with the asteroid that would have basically killed the whole northern hemisphere that hit in Siberia in I believe 2012. But it was smashed into a billion pieces before it actually hit the ground. And there's film footage that proves that it was a vessel that hit it at about 65,000 miles an hour from behind and just blew it to smithereens. And even though about 1,200 people were injured, not a single life was lost. Had that incredibly heavy asteroid hit this planet without their intervention, um, none of us would be living north of the equator.
Mm,
None of us
yeah.
would. The world would be in utter turmoil. Millions and millions of people would have died already. And it would not be a world that we even recognized anymore. So it's not fair to say that, they're not willing to save
No.
us.
See,
But
that's a problem that if they solve, the
right,
solution sticks. But
right,
what they can't do is solve a problem when the problem is created by us and who we are, our character.
right.
Because then our character just continues and pushes the problem back in our
And we
faces.
don't learn anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep. That's why I wrote my treatise, The Chicken and the Egg. We have to peck our way out of our own 3D shell so that we can build the strength, in so doing, build the strength necessary and required for us to live outside of our 3D shell. So if they come and crack the egg and let the chick out prematurely, the chick will perish, because it will not have the strength to survive. And I find that, and that was a message that was given to me in the middle of the night one night when I was literally pushed around in my bed and told to go outside. Yeah, because, there are those moments too, and they can be a little pushy. But, the thing that I'm so excited about, Deb, I know that you're very happy about Rupert coming, but
Absolutely.
do you?
I want to say really quick here, Rupert, I love you. I think you are amazing, and
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
for helping to build that connection with all beings. It's
Yes,
so
Thank
refreshing and it
you.
warms my heart to hear you talk and the things that you're saying, because that's what we need. That's what this planet needs, is to stop all of the
Yeah.
division and the hatred and the
Yeah.
we need to realize that we are one, we are connected, and to solve anything, we need love.
Yeah.
yeah,
So bless you for that.
yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you too. This is the first time we've talked, but I
Right.
understand that you're the organizer of the Houghton Lake event. Is that correct? Well,
Yes.
how wonderful is that? Bringing all these people together for such an amazing cause. Am
Deb,
I
tell
am I
him,
allowed to ask you
tell
to?
him how it happened, Deb. Tell him. Go ahead.
Is that what you wanted to ask, Rupert? Is
I
how
was
it
just going to
happened?
ask, give a quick promo. Who's going? What's it going to be like? Why should people attend?
Well, you're going to be there. Andrea is going to be there. Isn't that enough? It's in Houghton Lake, Michigan, September 22nd, 23rd at the Lakeside Resort and Conference Center. You can get tickets either on Facebook, Ticket Leap. Go to our website, miufocon.com. Many are going to be there. John Tenney's going to be there. Bill Konkleski, Amber Rose Hammond. Michael J. Carter from Ancient Aliens.
I love Michael.
Yes,
I love him.
yes. Deb Cobble is going to be there, who is a fascinating experiencer. She's a generational experiencer. Bud Hopkins actually, his book Intruders, which ended up, being a series, was based on her happenings, her experiences. So, I mean, we have some great people that are going to be there. It's a very loving event. It's not an event where you come and it's all science and
Getting a download right now.
right. Are you? I love
Yeah,
it.
right now.
Um, so yeah, it's a great event, and I'm not patting myself on the back,
You should.
because honestly, I did not come up with this event, Rupert. I had Missing Time 2016, and they downloaded me with all of this information, and I was sitting at the table, probably 4 months later with my husband, and we were both tired. It had been a long, we do a lot of events and things like that. It had been a long year. And he said, boy, I'm really glad the season's over. We can finally rest. And I turned and looked at him and I said, but we're putting on a UFO con. And I was as shocked as he was. That was not a thought in my head. So I knew where it came from. And I knew exactly who to contact. That wasn't me. I can't take credit for it. Yes, I do the legwork, and there's a lot of it. But it didn't, they created it. And it's a very different event. Like I said, it's very loving, uniting. We all learn. We all get sad at the end of it because we have to part. But it's very unique and very different. And I'm thrilled that Andrea found you and is bringing you. Now, she told me all these wonderful things about you. And I know Andrea well enough to know that she always sees the best in people because she's a beautiful soul. And I'm a little less trusting. So I kept thinking, nah, we'll see. We'll see. But now I see she was absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'm so thrilled that you're going to be there and we all get to meet you. And it's meant to be. I can feel that. As soon as I saw your face, I knew it was here. I knew it was meant to be. So,
well, thank you so
yes.
much. That's wonderful. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
It
And everybody
is.
who's watching here, I hope you come down to Houghton, I don't know,
Houghton Lake.
Houghton
Yes,
Lake
Houghton.
to support everything that's going on. And I'll be roaming around. If anybody sees me, feel free to walk up and say hello.
Right.
Yes,
He's the
absolutely.
tall one, right?
Yeah, he does stick out like a sore thumb. That's absolutely true. He towers above everybody in the crowd. Hard to miss. But yeah, it is my intention. Even though I already sent you what I'm going to be talking about and everything, but we really are on, we're really on the same path. And I want to bring Rupert up and officially introduce him during my lecture.
Absolutely.
And share the stage with him because it's my privilege and my pleasure to do so. And the thing that's so wonderful about this event is that you can it's not so incredibly crowded,
right,
that you don't get to spend good quality time with people and get to actually know these people and have bona fide conversations, not just passing in the hallway, hi, how are you, sign an autograph for me. It's not like that. It really is like a family reunion every year. And the first year, once the seed was planted in Deb's consciousness, and I didn't know anything about this. She called me out of the blue and said, if I can get Tenny, will you come do my UFO con in Houghton Lake? And I laughed. I'm like, okay, Tenny is a nice bonus. But, I'd come regardless. But, still, if you can get him, So she called him up and she said, if I can get Annie, will you come and do the UFO con in Houghton Lake? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so, we've been the polar constants of this event ever since it launched in 2016, 2017. What was
2017?
2017, yeah.
I got the information in 2016 and started it in 2017.
Yes. So. Yeah, and we did have to. We lost 1 year because of COVID.
Right.
But managed to pull it all back together, with proper precautions in year 2 of COVID. And we did well. I don't think anybody dropped dead. A few of us got what we call con crud, but that's when you're slobbering all over everybody and, it's hugs and kisses and there's, people waiting at the door for you to arrive. You can't help it. There's no such thing as physical distancing from these people. And it really, but it's got an entirely different feeling. I've done other
Mhm.
events that have been built around UFOs, Rupert, but this is different. And you'll see that the longer you're in the States and the more you travel around. As a prognosticator, I predict that this is going to be one of the best experiences of your life.
Wow.
I'm sure it will be. I'm excited.
I hope we don't fail you.
That's not
Really setting
possible.
us up here, Annie.
No,
Ah,
it's not possible.
well,
It's
I want to mention too, I didn't purposely leave her out. I just didn't get to her name. Mary Bassett is she's a regressionist with MUFON, and she's also a co-host on, I have another show, The Voices of Contact, where she regresses people and they allow her to use part of that regression in our show. And then we comment on it. But she will be there speaking and doing a live regression again this year.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
Well, because Rupert, how long have you been in the United States now, honey?
About 20 years on and off. I've traveled
On and
around a bit,
off.
but about 20 years, yeah.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, I hope you don't mind me stepping in and asking a question, Andrea.
Now go right ahead.
So we know, and it could be that Deb is in a similar situation. You've both talked about missing time.
Mhm.
And when I was in Kansas City with you, Andrea, I was there when you told me about the missing time that you experienced. And it was very interesting what you told me. I know you've mentioned that you smoke already on this show, so I will say, is it okay if I say what happened?
Yes, go right ahead.
You told me that you, after going outside for your early morning cigarette, you came to about an hour and a half later, and people were wondering where you were, and you had 2 cigarettes in your hands.
Yeah,
And
both.
that's interesting, because you can use logic to think about, well, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And basically, when they take for their own protection, when they take away memory and put you back where you were, they replay those last few seconds of what you did before you were taken. And so that's why you had 2, because you lit one and then you lit the other one afterwards. But with people who do experience missing time, one thing that I have done in the past is give them a message to give to the beings, so that next time they're taken, then the beings will be able to access whatever that message is. So I'm curious to know, what message would you give them if you could, next time that happens?
What message would I give them? Um, the same thing that I say to them every morning. I love you for sentimental reasons. Thank you for coming. And I start every day that way. I take my little dinky dog out and I sit on the deck and I look into the northern sky, which is where my vessels are. They're always there. And I get my few good morning flashes, and I just blow them cosmic kisses and tell them thank you for coming. I can't think of anything more important. They brought higher love into my life, and Deb is familiar with me using that phrase. It is cosmic love. It's not like love that we feel, even for the people we love the most on earth. It's at a different level.
Yeah.
It's at a higher level. And so I blow them cosmic kisses. I always feel like a 5-year-old child. I stare at the sky with wonder that I'm seeing this again, over and over and over again, and that they're always around me. And then the times when I see the light grid, oh, I go nuts. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I that's the message that I would always want them to have. and that I could beam out into the universe. I love you. I higher love you. I thank you for coming. And peace
Mm.
be with you. Peace be with you. No, and that's the message that I shoot out all over the world with everyone that I meet, because I don't know how to be anything other than true to my own nature, to my own character, to myself, to who I was born to be, and the message that I was destined to put out into the world. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying I've not been hurt. I have been taken advantage of. I have been lied about. I have been threatened. I have been through some really remarkably ugly
Mm.
scenarios in my life, deeply wounded by other people. Um, but I never feel any need to retaliate. I don't have a vindictive bone in my body. I just turn and walk away and mourn the loss of what could have been
Yeah.
had they, a conscience or empathy or had
Mhm.
developed any kind of character in the time that they've been on the earth. And there are a lot of people that masquerade as something that they are not. I have learned as I've gotten older to be able to selectively feel that vibration, because you can't hide your aura and you can't hide your vibration. And so that's when I saw you. I was like, oh, there he is. There he
I wish
is.
everybody could see people's auras and vibrations. It would make it so much easier.
Right,
Yes.
right. It would
Yes.
be. But, I'm of the belief, I don't know if you guys are, so I'm going to put it out there, that even people that vibrate on different levels, they still know their own. The way when you two met, you knew, okay,
Yes.
we're the same vibration, we're the
Yeah.
same frequency. I think um, we know when we meet other vibrations, oh, okay, I have to protect myself from
Oh,
that.
that energy. Oh, yes.
Right,
Oh, no,
right.
that's okay.
But they know one another as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And there's many that's why this work is being done, is there are people at different stages, at different vibrations that haven't opened up yet. But
Right.
my hope is they will. And my message would be that continue working with us. I'm willing to continue this work as long as I have breath in my body.
Yes, me too.
And they will work with us, because that's what's needed, is the unity. And not only on this planet, every planet.
Every
That's what it's
planet.
all about. That's the evolution.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it is. I think that ultimately it really is. And, Rupert, you and I talked about this in Kansas City, that really the common denominator here is that we're all in the midst of some level of spiritual ascension. That, and I do my other show, Soul School, based on the premise that that's what Earth is, that we are beings that have either been selected to be here, or we've actually perhaps chosen to be here. Although I don't think that that's true. I would never have chosen to come to Earth. Oh,
yes, you
fuck
would.
no, I would
Yes, you
not
would.
have. No, no, I don't like 3D. The planet's beautiful, but I mean, oh, okay. Erin wants to know: do you see people and things as frequency? Like, okay, Erin is an energy worker, so that's her motivation. Oh God, I need to put her in my luggage and bring her, Deb. I mean, really. But that's what she works with. She works with
Right.
energy,
Yeah.
and she does Reiki and healing, and and has for decades. And so I guess what she's asking you is, do you see other human beings as energetic beings, or do you basically see the vessel first and then sense the energy being emitted
Yeah.
from the vessel?
Thank you for your question, Erin. I'm not as psychic as many other people. So when I look at somebody, I don't typically see auras or coronas. but I do sense when I think of people, whether it's online or in person or looking at a photo, my spirit connects with them, and I feel what they're like as a person. So I guess you could say I feel that energy or frequency or state of morality is, how I would describe it. Um, but when I am astrally projecting, when I'm meditating, I do see occasional things, I do feel occasional things, but I have a lot of friends. I know a lot of people who are far more uh, able to see energies and frequencies than myself.
Mhm. Is that, do you perceive that as something that in your own spiritual evolution that you could develop, that you would evolve to the point where you could see that? I mean, is that kind of a motivating factor, or does it not even matter in the grand scheme of
Yeah,
things?
I actually don't think it matters. I think these beings, they're not looking at us saying, well, they're not uh, evolved, their skills, their spiritual skills are not evolved enough. They're just looking at us thinking, are they friendly?
Hmm.
Are they loving? Are they friendly?
Hmm.
Not how sort of capable they are spiritually.
Hmm.
But I do practice, and I do practice my psychic abilities. I've become very good at manifestation,
Good.
and I do experiments with scientific experiments with manifestation, and I can alter what's going to happen to approximately 25% away from random chance presently, but that's
Mhm.
been growing. And I'm curious to see just how good I can get at that.
Well, let's do a little bit of that when we're at Houghton Lake.
Yeah.
And I will bring you out under the stars and, share this magnificent lakefront with you. And we'll work together, all of us, Deb. We're going to have our music
Sounds
in the background.
wonderful.
I do my singing. Rupert's been with me during a couple of my sessions already. So, we're getting there. But we just blew through another hour like it was absolutely nothing. Just pen me in for next Friday night, Rupert. Maybe we'll just do our own show for God's sake. But anyway, I love you all. This has just been a wonderful experience. I'm sure our viewers are just as smitten with you as they were last week. And, I encourage everybody to come to UFO Contact at Houghton Lake, Michigan in September the 21st and the 22nd. Is that it, Deb?
22nd, 22nd, 23rd.
23rd. Oh, that's right. And then I
You
fly on the
you
20th.
will be there the
Mhm.
21st.
I will. I will be there the 21st. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We're starting that party early. So,
Right.
anyway, I will thank you, Deb. Thank you, Rupert,
Thank you
so
both.
much for joining me. This is now a time where I
Absolutely.
wish the show was still 2 hours because we could just keep on going. But we've got big plans and big projects coming in the
Yes.
future. And Deb, call me in the morning. I have to tell you what's going on. I mean, no kidding. Call me in the morning.
Okay.
And I love you all with all my heart. Always remember, be the beacon in the night and be the light you seek. Be the change you wish to see in the world and make it so. Good night, everyone.
Good night.